Ladies and gentlemen, rev up your engines. It's countdown time to the 2010 Woodward Dream Cruise. Detroit's love affair for classic cars and trucks will take center stage. Today on our Sunday morning program, we'll introduce you to a group you've never seen together before. From economics to engines, it promises to be a fascinating discussion. It's Sunday, August the 15th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. No politics today, no suits, no shirts and ties. We're out of uniform, but we're talking about the Dream Cruise. It's just 6 days away, and that's what everybody's talking about in Detroit this week, so that's what we're going to do on Spotlight. I've gathered together a rather eclectic group of Detroiters to help shed some light on this very important topic, the world's largest one-day event celebrating classic cars. Welcome to Spotlight.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go down the line. Answer this question for me, fill in the blank. I love the Dream Cruise because, Greg Rassel?
Because it brings together the whole community celebrating the history and culture of our area.
Makes us one.
Makes us one.
Yeah, puts our differences aside, at least for a day. Linda Swanson.
I think it reacquaints us with the nostalgic heyday of our yesteryears.
That's a good answer, good answer. And whenever you look back, yes, it always looks better.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Even if it may not have been easy during those times, you always say, oh, it was easy in the old days. That's
Yes.
great. Dana DeCosta.
I think the best thing about the Dream Cruise is all the old classic cars getting together and forming a big line on one street in one day, possibly the month of August. But you know, car guys are a great bunch of people, and I think everybody getting together.
And girls.
And girls.
There you go. There you go.
Sorry about that.
That's why we,
that's
why we make
and
sure we
gals.
have the female gender on here to keep you guys straight.
That's right. Car guys and gals.
That's right. That's right.
Ending up on Woodward, I think that's a great thing.
And you know, the reality is when you go up and down Woodward on Dream Cruise Day, there are tons of men, women, kids. I mean, it's a real mix, and you
Pets.
find many, many women that are into the cars as much as the guys, and can tell you what's up under the hood.
That's
Yes.
right. And many of them have changed their own engines and done everything we do. So come on out. Have a great time.
All right, Professor Bernanke, I love the Dream Cruise because
because neither sleet nor snow, nor heat, nor energy blackout, nor economic blackout keeps folks from attending this. It's a grassroots event that keeps happening regardless. It will happen, people will come, so we have to embrace it and be part of it.
I should have known that anybody with a PhD and a JD, that I was going to get something poetic from them. But thank you, we appreciate that. It is a unique event to Detroit, and it has certainly grown. But why do you think it is so special? Why did it catch on so much? And Greg Rassel, it started back in 1995.
Started in
Almost as a fluke, right?
It started in 95 as a one-year event, as a fundraiser, and became such a popular event in 1 year that people started coming back. And as Dr. Bernanke referred to, is that it'll come without bells and whistles and that kind of stuff. And our function as part of the Woodward Dream Cruise is really to create a safe, fun environment for everybody who comes out and enjoys the event. It starts at Memorial Day in Royal Oak and pretty much runs right through the Dream Cruise. That during the weekends, people are out there just reminiscing and cruising in their cars and enjoying the nostalgia that was referred to by Ms. Swanson there. So.
Dana DeCosta,
Yes.
You have Cruise News Magazine. It started the same year that the cruise started. For those who may not be familiar with the magazine, what's its sole purpose?
Well, originally we started out as just a way for people to find out where upcoming events are going to be. Because at that time, everybody that went to a cruise night or a car show would just have multicolored flyers thrown in their front seats, and that would basically tell you where all the other shows or cruise nights were going to be. So I was into graphics at the time. I had a graphic studio, And I love cars, have all my life, so I wrapped the two together. Came out with a little 16-page booklet to begin with, and it's just grown from there.
Now,
So,
you are the owner of a couple classic cars, right?
correct.
Okay, what do you have?
We have a 1964 GTO convertible, which I have to tell you is my wife Diane's. She lets me get gas. She lets me fill the tires. That's about it.
And keep it clean for her.
Keep it clean. I just did it last night. We're out last
keep
night,
it
as a
in
matter of
shape for
fact.
her. All
Yeah.
right.
I thought this wasn't going to be about politics.
That's the major politic.
It's always about politics.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. We need to sneak a commercial break in. When we come back, Linda, I want you to talk about your love for vintage cars and how you weave them into the business. And Professor Bernanke, we're going to talk dollars and cents about what this event really means. It's not just all fun. It's
You're
it's
right,
good
it's
for the bottom
serious
line.
stuff.
All right, we'll be right back talking about the Dream Cruise. We hope you stay with us. Countdown to the Dream Cruise, Saturday, August the 21st. You can catch all the action right here on Channel 7. We are, without a doubt, the exclusive station for the Dream Cruise in every which way you want to be able to see that very, very special event. But right now, all the action is right here on Spotlight. Linda, you love cars.
I do.
Your dad loves cars.
Yes, he does.
Tell us about your love for vintage cars.
I think it began certainly for my brother, my sister, and I when my father gave to my brother in the early 60s a candy apple red Stutz Bearcat.
Oh, wow. Oh. And he was a happy son,
Oh,
wasn't
he was
it?
a happy son. Let me tell you, I got Tony the Pony. My brother got a Stutz Bearcat. And just from there, Dad began collecting across the years. And though many of our vintage cars are funeral service related vehicles, hearses and flower cars,
what do you have?
it's not limited to that.
And tell us what you have that you actually use, both in the Dream Cruise, but you've also used them in the service of your work.
Absolutely. Our 1940 LaSalle, we've had a little over 30 years now, and that's probably at the pinnacle. She's a special vehicle.
That was the one that you used in Rosa Parks' funeral.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah,
Yes.
got a lot of attention there.
Yes. Our 1949 Packard, and 53 hearse, a 55 flower car, 65 Mustang.
Wow,
Yes.
not bad, not bad.
Nice little collection.
And the Stutz Bearcat.
That's Bearcats.
So there.
Yes.
Let me also bring up a subject because it comes up from time to time, and sometimes I think it gets sort of lost in the big Dream Cruise thing, and that is that cars are loved by everybody.
Yes, most
and
certainly.
even within the African American community, Hispanic community, people of color. Talk a little bit about that and some of the special clubs that have come about that people either participate in the Dream Cruise or they have sort of their own thing.
Yes. We do a classic car event every year in June, and we do it in conjunction with a little bit of Classic Car Club, which is an African American car club here in the metropolitan Detroit area. And they bring together each year, again, regardless of the weather, as the gentlemen have said here, upwards of 100 cars or more. And so there are so many cars right here in the city of Detroit, owned by African Americans. And we have featured the LaSalle hearse in the Dream Cruise, and I certainly hope to see more involvement on the part of African Americans in the Dream Cruise, and I really look forward to the Dream Cruise coming a little bit further south on Woodward.
Maybe eventually getting all the way downtown and running it all the way
Absolutely.
to the river.
That's where it began. That's where it
I want to get Professor Bernanke in here for a second to talk dollars and cents, but I'm going to pick up on that in a second, Greg, and I know that there have been some talks about that. Dollars and cents. How important is the Dream Cruise to this region?
You know, it's not just a fun event, not just a nostalgic event. Over $50 million a year are pumped in, and if you take a look at what it is over the 16-year history, actually 15-year, this is going to be the 16th.
Correct.
We're about $550 million in counting.
That's a lot of
That's
change.
amazing, absolutely amazing. And if you wonder what that means, well, you know, it's been figured that the Super Bowl for Detroit was $50 million, a little under $50 million. So you're dealing with a multiple of 11 times for the years of the Dream Cruise. If you take a look at the contribution it makes to the state of Michigan with reference to sales tax, gas excise tax, etc.
That's right. You're buying a lot of gas there.
Oh boy, there is no doubt about it. You know, you put it all together, and the package over the 15 years is about $2.6 million to the state of Michigan. So we have a gush fund flowing to the state itself because of the Dream Cruise.
Right, right. So when people are complaining about the crowds and things like that, they better think about what it does for the bottom line. Even though I'm sure there's some inconveniences, bottom line is it brings in a lot of money as well as a lot of attention.
Sure, you know, and we could, I know we don't have the time to discuss this, but think of all the mini cruises that have been spawned as a result of that. Grasser Cruise, Downriver Cruise, etc. Those didn't even exist before the template of the Woodward Dream Cruise.
Right.
So those are mini economies unto themselves.
Yeah, and it benefits the entire region. We're always talking about regionalism now. This is a classic example of how regionalism can work.
It's a cruising economy, a cruising culture.
Right. All right. We have to get another commercial break in. When we come back, Dana will pick up with some special questions for you, and we will indeed talk about maybe what the future of the Dream Cruise is, as well as some special events coming up this week leading up to the Dream Cruise. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Talking about the Dream Cruise today on Spotlight. Dana DeCoster, you have a new website coming up for your magazine?
Yes, we do. It will actually be launched tomorrow on Monday. It's www.cruisenews.com.
All right, a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming.
I have a funny feeling you're going to get a lot of hits this week.
Yeah, we've been under construction for a little bit too long in my book, but it should be everything a classic car owner would like to see.
Dana, you're so involved with the Dream Cruise, as is Greg Rassel. Do you have a favorite spot or anything that's just, you know,
I'll tell you what, there's
unique
so many cars and people out there. We'll start at 9 Mile, go all the way out to Pontiac.
But say it's someone's first time coming to the Dream Cruise. They're coming from out of town. What special advice would you give them? Is it a special place they should go?
Start early. Yeah, and make sure that you have a car that won't overheat.
if
coming up Woodward,
Cruise, right.
Either start at Pontiac, run south, or start at 9 Mile, run north. And there's just stuff to see everywhere. Classic cars, people, events planned. Every city has a gaggle of
so
events
the main
planned.
thing, I guess, especially if you're
Just
a tourist, if you're not driving in the Dream Cruise, is don't just get stuck in one place and think that you've seen everything. You really got to walk up and down Woodward.
Yep.
Yeah, from community to community.
Right. Royal Oak is probably the epicenter.
Sure.
That everything seems to gravitate right to, you know, right around 13, anywhere from 12 to 14 Mile Road. That's where the congestion starts, and everybody wants to be there. But there's more than enough.
And there's a huge number. Of cruisers who'd like to park their car on the right of way or in some of the parks and that kind of stuff, and just put their car on display, so you can grab a soda pop and walk around and get up close and actually see the cars with the hoods up and see what people have done to the interiors and some of the design work that they've done on their vehicles over the years.
Greg, you've talked about some of the special events leading up to the big day Saturday, the Dream Cruise.
Well, sure. In Royal Oak, it starts off with the Kids Cruise on that Tuesday, and then we close it with our summer concert series on that Thursday. And then there's other charity events in Ferndale and in, I believe, in Pontiac that week that are set up as well during the week leading up to it. So.
All right. Let's talk for a moment in a serious nature, because we oftentimes find that music brings people together, can bring communities together, and events such as this, you know, the Super Bowl brought this region together. This is an event that comes every year, and as you all have said, You know, people strike friendships, conversations because of that one love that they all share, and that's cars. And you touched on it earlier, Linda. And Greg, I know there have been some conversations about extending the Dream Cruise beyond, I guess, what, the Pleasant Ridge area, and so that it would go into Detroit, whether it's all the way down the line, Woodward, or parts of it. How serious are those conversations? And Linda, how much would you like to see that happen? And is that a way to really bring this region together, aside from all the differences that we may have at times?
Well, we've done some stuff in the past with cruises that have started down at Jefferson and just shot up Woodward to events in the outlying communities. Sure. We've also done some pre-cruise events where we've tried to do it, but they haven't really caught on. And some of it's been because they didn't catch on. Not only did they not catch on, there was a financial burden and a risk involved. And you know, and the cruise is pretty much a zero-sum game. It's not set up to take any financial risk in that regard. So.
And part of the success in the communities that it's been at for quite some time is that
grassroots
the people make it happen there, and so you've got to want it, and then you've got to support it, right, is what you're saying.
That's absolutely correct. I mean, there's nothing that says that we'd be more than happy to run that thing all the way downtown and back and forth, but there has to be a created draw, and that created draw has to sort of come from that community.
Sure.
To create the event or the draw that's going to bring people down there.
Linda, how do you see that coming together based upon what Greg has said, knowing that there are a whole lot of people in Detroit that really love cars and are into cars, but how to take that next step so that it works for the entire region?
Well, Chuck, I kind of think it's a function of leadership, perhaps, and putting together the right minds, the right conversation in order to make that happen. I know unequivocally that there is interest, tremendous interest, on the part of classic car enthusiasts and those who don't own the cars but that come. And they come in droves to support, and I know they would be there. Our classic car show features everything from a 31 Buick limousine to that little Stutz Bearcat, and the folks are there and they want it to happen and they'd like to see it in Detroit. And I think you need the right woman to help you put that together.
Linda, I think you've got another job along with funeral directing. All right, we need to get to a quick commercial break. We'll come back. Professor, we've got some questions for you. We want to get you back in, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, we were laughing during the break. What you can't see is Professor Bernanke's shoes with his orange. Go ahead, put them up and show him with the orange shoestrings there.
Right.
Yeah, totally. All right, we know you're a Cubs fan, but we won't tell anybody from the Tigers. Reflect for me just a second from as a professor. Last year, the economy was in the tank. And still more than 1 million people showed up for the Dream Cruise. This year, the economy is better. Not all the way back, but certainly better. What do you anticipate?
Well, I don't know. I think we could look anywhere. Last year was pegged at 1.5 million, 1.5 million people. I think you can go anywhere from there to, 1.7 million, 1.8 million. It's amazing the drawing power. No, it's already been mentioned, the grassroots event that it is. There's significant years in the growth of the attendance here. 17 million folks over the 15-year history. Year 2 supposed to be a 1-year event, as you said, and it turned out to be folks wanted it, so they showed up there.
When you're teaching your classes and you're trying to tell young people, the pros and cons of marketing for an event such as this, do you have to really keep marketing it to be able to make sure that it's a success, or does it just sort of take care of itself?
Yeah, we know the strongest marketing there is, Chuck, is word of mouth. And the Dream Cruise has proved that, whether it was the economic blackout the last couple years or the electricity blackout in 2003, guess what? People are going to show, they're going to come regardless. So don't deprive them of their cruise. It's going to happen, and so participate, be part of it, bring your dollars and cents, bring your kids. Yeah, it's a celebration of the metropolitan area and what it hosts the best, the automobile.
Greg Rassel, you've got a new logo this year.
Absolutely.
How did it change?
Well, it changed this year as last year the Pontiac Automotive Group. So we incorporated their triangle for this year. And our volunteers up and down Woodward are selling this merchandise the day of the event. And a lot of service clubs are...
67 GTO on there?
67 GTO. They're beautiful, beautiful design this year.
Right, you hear the music in the background.
But I mean, we count on this merchandise sales to support the cruise, and it supports a lot of charities throughout the
How important are volunteers to making this event
Volunteers
a success?
are huge. Manning the parking lots, selling the merchandise, working some of the water booths, distributing water, and also doing some of the security things up and down the median. They contribute a lot to this event. It's tough economic times for communities. This is a huge strain on public safety services for the week of the cruise.
Sure.
Because everybody's doing more with less, for the third or fourth year in a row here, and it gets tougher every year. But we somehow managed to pull it off. And as I say, as long as we're not on the news for the 11 o'clock news, for real news, I'm happy.
Right.
So.
And it gets each community involved with itself. That's exceptional with itself. Yeah.
Linda Swanson, is there a vintage car out there that the Swansons don't have yet that ideally you would like to have?
Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, they're all wonderful. They all have their own history. And I think that what's exciting for me is the history of the cars and the ownership as much as the cars themselves.
All right.
They all have a story.
And Dana, you get the final word. Anything that's not in that garage that 5 years from now you think will be there?
I'm sure there's going to be a few different cars in that garage.
And they all going to belong to
It's
Dan.
just whatever, you're out there, you see it, you got to have it.
Diane's, right?
And it will be Diane's, no doubt.
We know who's in charge in the DeCosta house.
That's right.
All right, Michael Bernacchi, professor at U of D Mercy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And Dana DeCosta with Cruise News.
Thank you,
Linda
Chuck.
Swanson with the Swanson Funeral Homes.
Thank you, Chuck.
And Greg Rassel, president of the Woodward Dream Cruise. Thank you all for coming
Thank you.
in. And I'm back to my shirts and ties next week. All right, and we want to thank you at home for joining us. I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the spotlight. Make sure you go to the Woodward Dream Cruise and make sure you keep everything tuned to WXYZ-TV Channel 7. Have a great week.
This Week with Christiane Amanpour is next on 7.